It's a great pleasure to welcome you all today on behalf of the Indian Core Committee for our 152nd weekly webinar. I would like to thank you all for your interest and your continued active participation and commitment towards this webinar series. I would like to thank the Core Committee of AABN for collaborating and organizing this weekly webinar. We are well represented from several domains here today. As we move forward to ensure the future of AABN, we will continue to invest in the vast potential inherent in collaboration among individuals of varying backgrounds, perspectives, and expertise. I would like to thank Sandeep Gupta, our guest speaker today, for willingly cooperating to share his valuable knowledge and his vast experience. Conscious business or businesses with soul are gaining steam among company leaders and employees who wish to make a difference in the world. They want to connect with their sense of purpose and the greater social consciousness to create new business models and initiatives that will benefit others. Essentially, conscious businesses find new ways to express their essential values through the work and promote the most significant benefits across all stakeholders. This concept is not new, of course. Social enterprise trends started decades ago, expanding in different directions as social responsibility, eco-friendly, and sustainability-minded businesses. In 2021, after sharing the global experience of a pandemic, we are seeing another paradigm shift where people are open to thinking about business in a new way. People are connecting with each other, exploring their passions, and helping each other earn a living. That's why conscious business will lead to significant shifts in our business world in the coming years. In these weekly conversations, we speak with some of the leading figures in creating a healthy, thriving, and socially just business world. We learn about their work and we ask them what needs to change at the deepest level to bring about the transformation we need. I have the pleasant duty of introducing and welcoming our eminent guest speaker, Mr. Sandeep Gupta, to share his perspectives on the Indian philosophy of consciousness and its relevance to transforming business to perform. Sandeep Gupta, also known as Consciousnesspreneur, is a transformative force guiding leaders and businesses in uniting spirituality with financial prosperity for achieving scale and credibility. A chartered accountant, thought leader, consciousness coach, and global speaker, Sandeep's expertise covers leadership, development, strategic management, human potential, and sustainability. Over the years, he has not only empowered thousands of clients in India and abroad, he has also spoken internationally on various platforms and has been published globally. In his role as the president of the Delhi Chapter Professional Speakers Association of India and as the chairperson of the prestigious Professional Speakers Summit 2024, Sandeep Gupta continues to drive meaningful change and innovation. Recognized for his outstanding contributions, Sandeep has received esteemed honors, including the Glory of India Award and the Spirit of Service Award in 2022, followed by the Bharat Ki Maharathi Award in 2023. Sandeep Gupta's holistic approach and extensive expertise serve as a beacon, inspiring individuals and businesses to achieve unprecedented growth and success while embracing spirituality and financial excellence. There is so much to Sandeep's achievements and journey. I'm not sure it can all be summarized in the limited time in this session. So without delay, I would like to open the floor to him. So I'm not going to make you wait longer. We'll let Sandeep take over and regale you with his astute experiences and fresh ideas. Once again, a very warm welcome to you, Sandeep. We are truly privileged to have you deliver a speech today. Thank you. Over to you, Sandeep.
Good morning and namaste. What if I told you that 66% of the global wealth is in the hands of the corporates? And believe me, the corporates are not, looked at favorably. 99% of our society, global society, looks at them as ruthless money makers. And which definitely, makes your life more difficult as a corporate leader and as a business owner. Question of acceptability. And what if I told you that your life has become all the more difficult today because 90+% corporates are on the drawing board? They're grappling with the continuous innovative changes happening, which are highly disruptive, not only in the processes or the systems or the marketing philosophy or the technology. And what if I said that I will share with you a tool which can help you to address both the things, grappling with the fast-paced innovation which is happening today, as well as the reputation, the way people look at businesses today. Are you ready? And if you're ready, give me a thumbs up or a remark in the chat box. Say yes. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, as you know, my name is Sandeep Gupta, and Gopi has already told you what I do. Thank you, Gopi, for the lovely introduction. Today, I'll be talking about the Indian philosophy of consciousness and its relevance to transform businesses to perform. Consciousness. Now, consciousness, which is something free, which is wisdom, which is inside all of us, was never considered as a tool for business. It's only in the late part of the 20th century and this 21st century where it find traction. And believe me, consciousness is the biggest tool which ancient India used and reached the glory. Well, consciousness is not a simple subject, though it's a simple concept. It is not a simple subject because people have been, splitting hair of consciousness from different dimensions. Philosophers, gurus, everyone have made it highly complex. There's a philosophical element to it. There's a metaphysical element to it. But for today's purpose, I will only focus on the functional dimension and the operational dimension of consciousness. Dr. Radhakrishnan said, the acid test of any philosophy is its ability to improve human life. And yes, consciousness, the Indian philosophy of consciousness, has stood the test of time, has proved time and again that it has the potential to improve human life. And since business is a part and parcel of human life, consciousness also has the potential to improve businesses. Now, let me start with a story. There was a samurai, wanted to hang his boots, and he went to a Zen master. He said, Zen master, people have been telling me there's a hell and there's a heaven. Where are they? Where are they? The Zen master heard him, looked at him, did not respond. Now the samurai thought that, okay, the Zen master has not understood the question. He said, Master, can you please tell me where is heaven and where is hell? The Zen master again ignored and continued doing what he was. But this time, the third time, the samurai says, Zen master, I asked you where is hell and where is heaven? So the Zen master looked up and says, well, I don't respond to foolish people. You are a fat lump. I don't respond. Now, this infuriated the Zen master totally. And he pulled out his sword to kill the Zen master. The Zen master looks up, smiles, and says, this is hell. Immediately, he realized his folly. He goes on his knees and says, Sir, I'm sorry. The Zen master says, this is heaven. Now, what was the difference between the two? The difference was making the choices. And choices are in our hands. If you give me a minute, I'll just put my PPT on. Just give me a minute, please. Yes. Sorry, guys, to keep you waiting. Well, we have done the Zen Master story. So all challenges in life, the situations, has got two elements: the controllable and the uncontrollable. And when I say this thing, what do I mean? Now, let me just, I need to stop the sharing for a moment. You're seeing this is an orange in my hand. Why did it fall? Why didn't someone tell me? What made the orange fall?
You left it.
Okay. Is this the only truth? Or is this the whole truth?
Gravity.
Gravity, yes. So to everything in life, there are two conditions, the controllable and the uncontrollable. And when we forget or we refuse to take stock or to control the controllable, because like in this case, the gravity is uncontrollable, but to let it fall or not to let it fall was in my hands. Now going forward, something is not working. Stop sharing. It was not moving ahead. Okay. Now, there are two types of players. One is the way we live, the way we behave and react. One is the victim players. And one are the players who play. I got a small exercise, more of an introspective thing. So let us assess, are we the victim or the player? Here are 6 questions on your screen. What I would like, imagine an incident, which obviously was good, which has happened in your life recently, in office or at home, and just answer these 6 questions to yourself. There's no right and wrong. You've got to be honest. You don't need to share. Just answer to yourself. What happened to you? Who's to blame? Why did he do that? He shouldn't have done. Why did we do it? What should he have done instead? What should he do now? These 6 questions. Just reflect. You have 2 minutes.
Can you repeat the questions, please?
They're on the screen.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
They're on the screen. Yeah. Just imagine a situation which was not savory, which was not pleasant, happened. It could be a small accident, it could be anything. And you're answering these questions to yourself. I hope you have reflected. Now, my question to you is, how many of you need not put up your hands or say anything in the comment box. Just be honest to yourself. How many of you could see yourself as a part of the problem? Or was it all about the other person? He did it. He shouldn't have done it. How many? You see, you cannot be a part of any solution unless and until you see yourself as a part of the problem. And when you don't see yourself as a part of the problem, you are playing the victim's card as if you were not responsible, or you had no hand in what happened. Now, moving forward, I've just changed the questions. These are 6 different questions. Just reflect on them, the same situation. And just reflect of them. Again, you have 2 minutes with you. I'm sure you must have reflected. Now, moving ahead, result. Result is a combination of challenges plus the ability to respond, response ability. You know, when you reflected on the 2 sets of questions, did you find a shift in your thinking? Did you thought differently? Did you think differently? Would anyone like to share? They can unmute themselves and just share. Would anyone?
Yeah, it's all about shifting the responsibility from the other side to yourself. So typically talking about the situation, behavior, and what impact it made to you, and what has been the intent. Intent is the reflection.
Brilliant, brilliant. Anyone else? Now, this is where consciousness comes into play. The victim card is all reactive. It is default mode. I am not responsible. And the player's card, the second set, is I take responsibility, I take ownership. And next time I'll do it better. And this is exactly where human consciousness comes into play. Now, what is human consciousness? Without getting into the metaphysical or the philosophical and the metaphysical definitions, or the biological definitions, or the neuroscience definitions, taking a purely operational and a functional view. Consciousness is that higher level awareness that empowers us to operate out of wisdom 24/7. It is not an actuality. It is only a potentiality. We got to work upon it. Metaphorically, it's a 100 meters dash. The starting point is awareness. You're aware that you got to run the race. The finishing line is what happened during running the race. Now you're conscious What is the process with the pits and falls? Similarly, one of my favorite examples is a building, a 10-story building. You're standing on the ground floor. You are aware it's a 10-story building, but your sight is restricted by the boundary around you. So what happens? The reality is all confined within the boundary of the compound in which the building stands. Boundary is 10 feet high. Now you go to the second floor. You start seeing beyond the boundary. Your reality expands. So earlier, what was 100% now stands reduced to, let's say, 50%. It is still real. Now let's go to the fifth floor. Again, your vision has improved, has increased. Even the second floor reality stands reduced in terms of percentage because you have additional reality. And you go to the top. Standing on the terrace, when you see, you're seeing miles and miles, and you know what is coming from the furthest end. It is interacting with what energy, with what product, etc., etc. And by the time it reaches you, what shape it manifests in. So the starting point is awareness. And as you go up, you keep on increasing, it becomes consciousness. And if you see the human construct, we are built of primarily three levels: the physical level, the mind level, and the spiritual level. Now, which means the body, the mind, and the soul. The body is very selfish. It only wants three things, or knows three things: organic satisfaction, Mr. Venkateswaran, can you please mute? Thank you. Yeah. The body knows only three things: organic satisfaction, organic multiplication, and organic survival. Whereas the soul knows only one thing, that is love, mutuality, inclusiveness, wisdom. And the mind in between is all about duality. Should I not? Black and white, ethical, non-ethical, moral, immoral. Sri Aurobindo, he captured the emotions in a very, very systematic manner. So this is from the writings of Sri Aurobindo. At the lower end, that's the physical existence level. We are absolutely selfish. When we reach the highest level, our consciousness expands to the spiritual level, which means we get to know, we get to experience, and we get to imbibe those characteristics in us. We become absolutely selfless and inclusive. Now, while I'm speaking, I think since all of us are from business, we are leaders in our own rights, you can very well imagine when you are selfish, what impact it has on your customers, what impact it has on your team, your employees, and your peers. And when you are selfless, you're inclusive, the impact it has. Okay, from the emotional angle, as we go up, our emotions, which start at the pure physical level, origin of the physical movement, instinct for survival, they mature, they get sophisticated, they get refined as we keep going up from physical level to the vital plane, from the vital plane to the mental plane, from the mental plane to the spiritual plane. Most of us live at the vital plane and the mental plane. Most of us live at the vital plane, and we often get into the domain of mental plane, and we are back in the vital plane. And this is the reason we find a lot of inconsistency in our behavior if we map it over 24 hours or 48 hours. At one point of time, you might find yourself absolutely benevolent. Someone has robbed you of 100,000 rupees. You'll say, forget it. He probably needed it much more. And sometimes person just refuses to give 5 rupees. And you are all angry. You are very aggressive. Why? Because our mind keeps going up and down and we keep on fluctuating and oscillating between the different levels. What is the law of our being? Whatever we hold in our consciousness manifests as our experience. If I ask you, if you squeeze an orange, what will come out? Your obvious answer would be orange juice. If you squeeze a banana, what would come out? Again, the obvious answer is banana pulp. And applying the same analogy, if we squeeze a human being, what would come out? What is inside that human being? If there's hatred, hatred would come out. If there's bitterness, bitterness would come out. Now just imagine a situation in your office where your manager is full of hatred, bitterness, and anger. His body language is, all the 3 things are manifested in his body language, in his style. And he's talking of love and mutuality. Wouldn't that be a big farce? People would just not be influenced or inspired by him. Our thinking structures our life. And consciousness, you see, consciousness is a spectrum. At the lower end is gross selfishness, at the upper end is gross selflessness. And all of us are standing at different stages of the spectrum. Therefore, we behave differently. And we behave and we get limited by the experiences of the stage at which we are on the spectrum of consciousness. I'll talk about the tools which we can use to expand our consciousness. And success and failure, greatness and downhill trends, everything starts in our minds. And how do they manifest? Consciousness, thoughts, actions, and the experiences you get out of the actions. The story doesn't end over here, the story starts over here. Because the human consciousness has got 2 dimensions. The first dimension is it goes out in the outer world, engages, comes back. The dimension of coming back, that's the second dimension, falling upon itself. And this dimension distinguishes us from the other living species. And what does this second dimension do? It helps us to think about our thinking. It helps us to be aware about our awareness. It helps us to be conscious about being conscious. And it is this dimension which has led to all the refinement, all the evolution, all the innovations, all the improvements, all the knowledge in the human community. Manikam, can I request you to please? Yes, thank you. And as the self-awareness increases, why am I behaving the way I'm behaving? Why am I thinking the way I'm thinking? Why am I responding the way I'm responding? We start breaking out of our genetic compulsions of organic survival, organic satisfaction, and organic reproduction. Excuse me. I always like to bring science into picture because all of us have got a scientific bent of mind and we want evidence. Now, here are three scientists, from the West. What do they say? Mark Planck, Nobel Prize winner, 1918, he says, everything we regard as existing is pulsating consciousness. Richard Conn Henry, John Hopkins, he says, the universe is immaterial, material, and spiritual. In a way, he is putting a tick on the Indian philosophy, of which I just touched upon and talked about in a very simplistic manner. And then we have this Dr. Anton from Austria. Now let us see what he has to say. I'll just play a short, small video. I think the video is not playing. Sorry, the video is not playing. Probably at the end, I'll show it to you. Let me explain. The video is about the double split experiment which they did. They had a gun and a sheet in front of them, and there were two slots. And when they were shooting the protons, when they were looking at it, a wave was being formed. And when they were not looking at it, the wave was not being formed. Which, establishes that the way you look, by looking at it, by being a part of reality, you can change reality. And it's a very powerful experiment, mind it. Now, the interesting part is, while people have been saying that consciousness is something for beyond life, they only talk of the metaphysical dimension. No, consciousness is nothing else but 100% participation in life. The Indian philosophy is all about being a part and parcel of life and living life. Over here, you'll see that we live in two worlds, the inner world and the outer world. The inner world is the superior world. The outer world is where you and I are interacting at this moment. And what we hold in the inner world manifests in the outer world. Now, in the outer world, there are four things we need to do. Though in the scriptures, it is Kam, Arth, Dharma, Moksha. I have reshuffled it. The first thing is Dharma. Dharma means righteousness. You need to live a life of righteousness. That discretion, what is right or what is wrong. Why? All of us have got desires. And we need to fulfill the desires. Till the time the desires are not fulfilled, or if we do not fulfill them, we would be in hell. Now to fulfill the desires, you need money, you need resources. Business comes in. You've got to generate wealth. Without generating wealth, you cannot fulfill your desires. So generation of wealth was never a no-no in the Indian philosophy. On the contrary, it was supposed to be one of the noble goals of life. But when you generate wealth, a lot of implied and implicit power comes to you. You get the power to manipulate people. You get the power to direct people. People start looking up to you. And that is the place where you tend to become egoistic, exploited. Therefore, the dharma comes into play, which teaches you Two, accept the other person as a being just like you, to treat the other person as a human being just like you. And, for the survival, satisfaction, and reproduction, nature has given 5 things to man. 5, I call them the 5 evils of the mind: lust, obsession, anger, attachment, greed, and ego. So when it comes to liberation, you need to suffuse, you cannot eradicate, you can just put them to sleep. You need to break out of the shackles of these 5 evils. And as you do that, your self-awareness keeps on increasing and increasing. So consciousness expansion is making the higher laws of the spirit suffuse its lower laws. Because initially we operate out of the lower laws. We need to train ourselves to operate from the higher laws. How do we do it? Intent. The starting point in human life is the intent. What intent? Intent to participate in life, not to run away from life. And once you participate, experience life. And when you experience life, it could result in a pleasant experience or an unpleasant experience. Introspect. What made it pleasant? What made it unpleasant? The 6 questions, the victim and the player questions. This would lead to a realization. And when you realize, again, the choice is yours to mend your ways or not to mend your ways. I told you earlier, the uniqueness of human consciousness is its ability to fall back upon itself, think about its thinking, become aware of its own awareness, become conscious of its own consciousness. And this is the spiral loop which helps us to refine, move from the ground floor to the 10th floor. What are the tools? What are the processes? Meditation. Now, again, meditation is nothing else but a mind training exercise. And let me also share with you the way meditation has been described in the Indian scriptures or the Indian philosophy. It is not the same in the English one, for the simple reason there are no equivalent words in the English language. Because I'm taking the Indian thing, it starts with mindfulness. Mindfulness being present in the moment. Without being present, you can do nothing. If you are listening to me just now, but your mind is not here, not a single word would get into you. You have to be present in the moment. To capture what I'm saying, you've got to focus. And once you start focusing, concentration develops. And when concentration develops, a stage comes where you get totally absorbed, which in English is called the flow. You live that thing. What is the reason a dancer dances on stage for 3 hours without getting tired? Because she has got into that flow. What is the reason when Bolt runs the 100-meter dash, 9.9 seconds, nothing matters to him. He is in that flow. Absorption has happened. He has absorbed himself in the situation. They have become one. Imagine Sachin Tendulkar or Dhoni, these guys facing a ball coming from 22 yards at 140 miles. I hope I'm saying right. It's miles, right? At 140 miles or even kilometers, whatever it is. Imagine fraction of a second. But for them, that ball which is coming like a bullet for us is looking like a football, and they go out and hit it out. Why? Absorption. Even that's meditation. And what is the foundation? The starting point. It's a very simple thing which I've learned from life. I've seen life going up and down. I've sat on the Himalayas, not literally, I mean figuratively. In terms of success, I've been on top of Mount Everest. In terms of failure, I've seen the depths of the Pacific. So my life journey gave me these 4 points, which is attention management. If you don't manage your attention, nothing is going to happen. Observation. You got to observe what is happening inside you and outside you. What happens inside you manifests externally, but it happens a fraction of a second earlier. To give you an example, you see someone and you get a itching inside you, and then you just go and you just start firing. Or fear, it happens inside you first, and then it manifests externally. There's a small time gap in which it is said that gap is the say pathway to freedom. Third is pause, identifying the gap and using it to free yourself. And lastly, it is acceptance. How do we accept reality? Oh yeah, this year we couldn't make money. COVID was there. So what have we done? We have shifted the blame to COVID. The fact is, we have not made money, full stop. The next question should be, why did we not make money? If COVID was there, what could we have done better? But our method of acceptance of reality is, we could not make money because COVID was there, because there was a strike. Okay, if there was a strike, who is responsible? What is the reason so it doesn't happen again? And when consciousness goes up, escalates, you move from I to the family, from the family to the society, society to the country, country to the world, universe. What I'm trying to say, you become inclusive. Consciousness expansion leads to inclusiveness, forgiveness, love, intuitiveness, creativity, innovation, and also flexibility, adaptability, coherence, energy, stability in our purpose, thoughts, and actions. To be successful, we need to align our purpose, thoughts, and actions. And this is the way things change. Externally, everything remains the same. But internally, since the perception changes, the end goals also change. In terms of man, it's at the lower consciousness, it is I, me, my. At the higher consciousness, it is we are us. In terms of money, at the lower consciousness, it's an end in itself. At the higher consciousness, it becomes a means to an end. In terms of business, at the lower consciousness, it is individual wealth creation focus. At higher consciousness, it is social wealth creation focus. And let me tell you one thing, social wealth creation rewards you much more than what you can earn by focusing only on yourself. And all these things, bring about a profound change in our purpose, thoughts, and action. Now let me change gears and quickly shift to business. What is business? Being a business consultant for so long and having practiced organization development for 40 years, what I've realized, what they teach in MBA schools or textbooks, that is a very superficial definition or a concept of business. Yes, business is there to make money, but let's go deeper. Business is a part of society, not apart from society. Therefore, business is a socio-economic relationship. It is a socio-economic relationship between three sets of people. The owners, that is, who establish the business. The workers, who work for the owners and make things happen. And the third set is customers. Remove one of them, there'll be no business. It's like the soul, mind, and body. Remove one, there's nothing. Remove one of them, nothing is left. And why are they together? Because and it looks as if they're helping them each other. Yes, they're helping each other for what? To help themselves. They're not doing any philanthropy. They know, if I need Colgate toothpaste, I need to go and buy the Colgate toothpaste. By buying the Colgate toothpaste, the money goes to the company. The company spends money on its people. The people are working over there because they're getting their salary, and the owners are happy because there's a differential between the sale price and the cost price. They're making some margin. So this is the way I define business. Now, since business is a part and parcel of society, not apart from society, therefore, any change which happens in the socio-economic, cultural ecosystem of the society impacts business. And to survive, businesses need to adapt to that change. They need to adapt to that change. And businesses which have not adapted to the changes, all have gone away. Nokia is one case, Kodak is one case. There are so many other cases. And we also know, and if we look today, we are standing at a crossroad. The business community is standing at a crossroad for the two reasons I said earlier, right? Of all the scams, of all the challenges and cheating and genocides and whatnot the businesses have done in the 20th century, they have lost the respect. They have lost the acceptance as social change makers. So what are they doing? So the society is now trying to clamp them down through various reporting systems, through various control measures, etc., so that they do not do anything unethical. Number two is obviously the disruptive innovations, the way innovations are happening and changing the business ecosystem. Here's a list of some changes, which I captured, like 97 Netflix. It changed the entire entertainment industry. YouTube. Again, it changed the way we think and we entertain ourselves. Skype. You see, here's a list, so all of us know that. What is more important now? What is to come? Number one, quantum computing is going to come in, which is again going to change the way data are processed. Hyper-automation is going to transform the office culture and the work culture. And AI-driven, personalized, enhancement of user experiences, and many more transformative digital solutions. Now, this was a very interesting report which I came across, this is of 4th February 2022, World Economic Forum. And what does it say? It says the pandemic and the technological revolution are fundamentally changing today's business world. We all know that. Organizations that rethink, reshape, and reinvent themselves will be best placed for the future. Which I say, learn quickly, learn, unlearn, and relearn. Think beyond yourself. The 6 trends that are shaping the business of the future are learning from the future. You've got to visualize, you've got to imagine, you've got to use your right brain equally as the left brain. And so this could happen. You've got to get systems thinking involved into it. And then make your strategy. Push to the edge. You need to push everything to the edge and be prepared for the fall. Sustainable purpose. Sustainability is a big issue. If sustainability is not inculcated and inducted in the business strategies, it could be a very difficult times for those businesses because because responsible business indexes have started coming up and funders are going to fund money to you based on your ranking or the numbers you get over there. And SEBI recently in India has come out with those BSR reporting systems, virtual realities, new scientific methods, and redesigning supply chains. Peter Drucker has been a big visionary. He has been a big visionary. I love these 2 quotes of his. Number 1, he says, the task of leadership is to create an alignment of strengths so strong that it makes the system's weaknesses irrelevant. Over here, as a business consultant, I would like to draw your attention to the SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities matrix. It is a very important matrix in today's times. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities before you? And what are the threats before you? Your strengths and weaknesses are internal. Opportunities and threats are external. And we need to learn to manage them. And how do you do it? Which will just come to it. And the second thing is, it's a long quote. Basically what he's saying, that we got to think in terms of we. Rise above our ego, be inclusive and think in terms of we. And I really agree with him because, you know, there are 2 words which we often use. One is cooperation and the other is collaboration. Cooperation is like you go to a doctor, right? Both of you cooperate with each other for an end result. But what is the driving force? The driving force is the doctor is thinking, will Sandeep pay me my fee? And I'm thinking, will the doctor cure me? So in cooperation, 1 + 1 always remains 1. The other word is collaboration, where the entire dynamics changes. Because collaboration happens at the we level. What will we add? What will we gain? Where 1 + 1 come together and it becomes 11. So Peter Drucker is talking about making it 11. So what does the leader do? The leader, number 1, brings the strengths into alignment in such a manner that the inefficiencies or the weaknesses become irrelevant and inculcates a culture of we, inclusiveness. And why is it important? It is important because, excuse me, excuse me, going forward, three qualities are non-negotiable. Number one, high level of self-awareness. Why do I think and behave the way I do? Can I improve? Quality number two, ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn quickly because the way things are changing. I can just share with you, for a couple of years, I was with a life sciences company. We were into integrated research, pre-molecular integrated research. And believe me, if a research proposal came in the morning, a number of times we would get a mail in the evening saying, hey, hold on, don't process. Don't take it forward. Because a new finding has come which changes the rationale of the proposal we have made. And third is quality human capital management skills. And these three qualities are an intermix of the spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and rational intelligence. All of us know about rational intelligence, spiritual, and the emotional intelligence, but as far as the spiritual intelligence is concerned, we hardly pay any attention to it. I'm seeing a hand raised. Would someone like to ask a question, or can we just keep it aside because I think I'll just finish in another 5 minutes?
Okay, you can finish off, Sandeep. You can finish off. Then we can keep the floor open for questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way forward is bring flexibility, adaptability, coherence, energy, and stability in the organizational structure, operations, and management strategies. What is the step one? Step one has to be alignment of your purpose, thoughts, and actions. If your thoughts, purpose, and actions are not aligned, you will reach nowhere. Look at the larger picture and join the dots. Act out of compassion and humility, and look beyond yourself. And when the leaders do this thing, others would follow, and over a period of time, a new culture starts pervading the organization, and the above are the natural consequences of consciousness expansion. And well, some people, like I think one of them, I'm forgetting the name, said, okay, you said 15x. And that's the reason I'm here. Yes, this is empirical data from the research done by Raj Sisodia. He was at Wharton at that point of time. What he did, he made a list of certain attributes, which were relational attributes not used in business, like love, consideration, mutuality. And then he went around, mapping different groups and companies. It was a very rigid sort of analysis, or say I'm just not getting the word. It was a very rigid sort of a criteria which he strictly followed. 2 people or 2 groups from India also qualified. I'll just come to them. And what they did was S&P 500 average over 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. You can see the numbers. Good to great companies. You can see the numbers. Now, what do you call them? Friends of endearment companies. International, US, cumulative performance. Now, what are you seeing? If the S&P was 118% in terms of the valuation increase, US FEOs were 1,681%. International FEOs were 1,180%. Rest is pure mathematics. What were the characteristics of these FEOs which he used? Interest of all stakeholder groups brought into strategic alignment so that all prospered simultaneously. Cohesiveness, looking beyond yourself, carrying people with you. Functional and psychological needs of the stakeholders were met in a way that delighted them and endeared affection for and loyalty to the company. Selected a few of them, 3M, Amazon, Google. From India, it was the Tata Group, and it was the Tata is here, and it was also the Mahindra Groups. It is not necessary to choose between consciousness and capitalism. Self-interest and the broader interest of personal development or services to others. All are inextricably connected and they all serve one another. To conclude, I'll use a quote of, I don't know these Japanese names, how do you pronounce them? Haruo or whatever it is, read it, man. He says, the success factor of the traditional Japanese business and the Tata Group of India is community capitalism. Community capitalism is not rooted in the Western logic of capital, but in the Eastern idea of interconnectedness, responsible, people-oriented approach to management, and it also happens to be highly profitable. So with this, I conclude. Thank you very much, Gopi, for this opportunity. And I think I'm in time, right?
Yeah, you still have time. Yeah.
So, so I'll just stop sharing and then let's have a interaction.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll need 10 minutes of yours for a bonus, which I would like to give to your members. Okay?
Okay.
Here's guys.
Yes. Sandeep, thank you very much for the wonderful session. We'll now keep the floor open for question and answers. Participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions, please.
Gopi, as usual, I would like to lead.
Yeah, please go on.
Sir, Sandeep, it was a wonderful thing. I took, normally I take 1 page of note after every speech. I took 3 pages. So that shows the depth of your talk. I have this question I've been asking many people and I haven't got a satisfactory answer. Well, these great companies like the Tatas and the L&Ts and, the FOEs, as you said, have developed so many vendors. Why they are not helping people start entrepreneurship in terms of, one of the biggest pain, most people here assembled are small entrepreneurs. The real problem, at least the biggest bugbear we have is land and building. If a project like the Hyundai or a Ford starts a car factory and they invest 5,000 crores in a project and they require 100 acres of land for their project, they can, at 5 crores a acre, 100 acres is 500 crores, 10% of the project cost. Well, a small industry, his investment itself may be 2-3 crores, and he has to invest 1 acre of land for 5 crores. Actually, he's doing real estate business. Why the Tatas and the Ambanis of the world don't create entrepreneurs? Why don't they encourage people to become entrepreneurs? Are they afraid of competition? Why they are not encouraging? This is my question I've been having for a long time. Have you put a thought to it?
Vishwanath, well, this question is away from the presentation or the topic we had today. But yes, in a way, it is connected.
Yeah.
I think if I talk in terms of India, our policies were very lopsided.
No, I'm just slightly sorry to interrupt you. It's always the government that has to come up with plans. Government has to give land. Government has to give subsidy.
I'm
Why
coming to
businesses are not doing this?
I'm coming to that, right? It has to be a PPP, public-private partnership. You see, and well, PPP was very much there in the earlier regime also. I've been a part of quite a few PPPs. The challenge over there, the ones that I faced, was that the people from the government had a very babuish mindset, did not have the entrepreneurial mindset. What I'm seeing now, that in the last, say, 8 years, 10 years, I've met quite a few people in the government with a totally refreshing mindset, a very entrepreneurial mindset. I'm sure this is also going to happen. But yes, if we expect, my take is, if we expect only the industry to do it, no, they'll not do it. If you expect the government to do it, they cannot do it. Cannot, because they don't have the capacity to do it. It has to be PPP. And organizations, have to fight for a PPP. We don't have to go. There have to be schemes to promote this thing.
No, while the corporate runs a hospital or a school, it is considered, as a CSR or activity. Why don't you help other people start industries, start business? Why? I mean, they are only vendors. In fact, they develop vendors whom they squeeze to the last penny to get the best, because that is what the purchase manager is all about, to get the best out of 10 competitors. He, in fact, encourages competition instead of starting entrepreneurship. Why corporates are shying away while they invest in schools, colleges, hospitals? Why, as an entrepreneur, this is my question. Why I have to go to bank? Why I cannot go to the Tatas and say, hey, I'm starting a business, can you put in money? Why they cannot be partners with me?
Well, you have given me an idea. I'll be meeting Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee shortly. No, on a serious note, I'll be meeting Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, the man responsible for getting CSR into the country. And I'm going to pop up this thing to him. Doctor, we have an idea setting up industry clusters.
Yes.
Industry clusters should also be treated as a part of CSR activity.
I think, can I interrupt?
Yes, please.
I think corporates are already doing these kind of things. They are setting up incubations. They are going to the colleges, setting up incubation cells. They are working with the institutions. There are many corporates doing this incubation of new ideas, innovations, innovation labs. I think we are just maybe we're not aware of what they are doing. That's one. You make this comment that corporates are doing nothing, but I see a lot of activities by the corporates along with the institutions doing incubation centers and other things. But I think we have to come to the main topic, which the speaker was on this today, is about the consciousness and how consciousness helps in companies to be a winner. That's a key point we should take away from this. And how in your own company you are going to develop that consciousness. That's what question you should ask yourself. That's my view.
Vaibhav, I'm seeing your hand up for quite some time.
Yes, actually, I am fascinated by this subject right from my 10th standard. And I've read everything which you have presented today. And I was wondering since so many years why somebody is not thinking this point of line in the corporate world. And fortunately, I I am present in today's seminar. One point I want to ask: how to develop this kind of means you have took one aspect of how these companies can develop this, but I want to see the leadership should have that kind of value systems, which should be compatible with the consciousness aspects which you have told. Yes. Do you want to
Vaibhav,
add?
Vaibhav, can I respond?
Yes.
I think you missed it out. You see, what are companies? Companies are nothing else but paper tigers. It is the leaders, it is the we humans who breathe in life into it, right?
Mhm.
Now take the case of Satyam, okay? One particular leader, it went up and it went down. Another leader comes in, same assets, same people, same technology, it goes up again. So it is the leaders, who decide the fate of an organization. Or actually, it's the leaders who decide the culture of an organization, and the culture decides the fate of the organization. So, yes, and this is the reason whatever I gave, it has to come from the leaders. And at various points, I talked of the leaders, right? Because it's the leader who's going to meditate. And when the change comes, and in the last slide, if you see, I said, okay, when the change comes, people will start following the leader. And over a period of time, the organization culture will develop. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Sir, shall I ask one question, sir?
Please go ahead.
Sir, actually, I am an agriculture professor teaching so many young agricultural students. I want to have a word from you. How can I encourage the youngsters to come for agriculture? Most of the time, we are telling agriculturists should become an agripreneur. In what way an agricultural people is less than agripreneur? And how can I encourage youngsters to come for agriculture or to stay in agriculture, sir?
It's a very important question because the way people are running away from agriculture, especially the youth and the educated youth, tomorrow there might be a situation where we don't have agriculture at all. You'll have the land, you'll have everything, but there'll be no one to take it forward. Now, the only thing is, again, like, I don't know, again, this question is not a part and part, it doesn't fall within the bucket of what we were discussing today, but still I'll try and attempt to answer it. I think as teachers, we got to show them what they can get out of being in agriculture, how agriculture can fulfill their dreams, how agriculture, by adopting new technologies in agriculture, how can they make money? Because if you really ask me, the awareness level of the potential of agriculture is very, very low in the educated youth. Secondly, even the universities and colleges, they don't focus on agriculture. Specialized agriculture universities, yes, but general universities, no. Probably an awareness needs to be generated and created.
Sir, I want to ask some question.
Yes, please. You can call me Sandeep, man.
Yeah.
I got no problem. Yeah.
I'm Pradeep Kumar. I'm from Mangalore. I work in refinery. Sir, actually, I mean, it was a very good presentation and everything is about leadership. But the current culture of leadership is at the consciousness. I mean, the lowest in the consciousness is the selfishness. That is, I need to be climbing up on the ladder fast. So this is what people try to do. So this selfishness only drives a person to reach to the top. And actually the entire consciousness is lost. As you rightly said, leaders determine the culture of the organization and the culture determines the fate. So most of the organization are into this competitiveness. I think that is the reason for a failure of leadership in the entire society that where we are. And secondly, coming to the corporate social responsibility, if I remove the corporate, it is finally the social responsibility of the corporates. it happens that I mean there was problem of sanitation only when Prime Minister Modi says that we need the sanitation. You see all corporates building toilets all over. Then if there is something about drinking water facility, you see all the corporates will try to find some. They will try to find some schools, some remote schools, and they will install some water facility. But these problems existed even before Prime Minister Modi said, but corporate failed to understand that there is a need in this society. So where are we going wrong, sir? One is on the leadership, and second is on our mindset that we need to please someone, that people pleasing or government pleasing. I think that needs to be changed. What is your opinion about it?
Pradeep, right? Okay, Pradeep, let me tell you one thing. In 1960, there was an article in Harvard Business Review, right, which said to bluff in business is ethical. To bluff in business is ethical. This was an article. So this was an article in Harvard Business Review. To bluff in business is ethical. So we are coming out of that culture. You see, the natural processes, there's a thesis, then there's an antithesis, and then there's a synthesis. Industrialization, though, what we are seeing is very young. If you see the time span. So yes, there was a thesis where the objective of business was to make money, that's it. Whatever they wanted to make money, they were allowed to make money. Now the antithesis has started. People are also realizing, because the consequences, they have realized the consequences, and they are also realizing that you need a higher intelligence to solve the problems created by a particular level of intelligence. So which means if intelligence A created a particular problem, you need intelligence B, which is higher than A. And this is where spiritual intelligence has started coming into play. I see a very bright future going forward in terms of the globe and the world. But yes, in terms of your life and my life, it might not be sufficient, the timelines.
Yes, sir. Actually, people who are spiritual consciousness, they have higher spiritual consciousness. They don't get into this competitiveness. Maybe they don't become those leaders. I mean, they may be leaders, but they don't aspire for that position. And people who come to this spiritual consciousness may be the ones who finish their retirement from the corporate and then they come back and then they find the spiritual consciousness. I see these two things happening, sir. Maybe that is the reason.
Pradeep, I'll disagree with you. People of my generation, when we were young, we were more ruthless, more unethical. And the kids of today, you know, they are very aware, very conscious. They are less lawbreaker. They want to be just. They are better animal lovers. I think the youth of today, they might be aggressive in their behavior. They might be, say, loud in their behavior. They might be very brash in their thinking. But when it comes to being ethical, when it comes to being law-abiding, I think the youth today is much, much better than the previous generations, at least my generation. I don't know anything more about that.
I wish also, sir. I see that. I also wish the same.
Yes. Arvind, Manny.
Hi. Very good afternoon, sir. It was a more insightful presentation, which made me think a lot. Basically, I am working for an homegrown company. Basically, being an entrepreneur, just one question which I would like to ask you is, when we are a homegrown company, when we need to find the next entrepreneur, what are the key factors which we need to look inside our company to find the right leader who can take this company, or he becomes another entrepreneur by himself and leads the company, means takes this small company to a next level. This is one. The second one is, as this company started almost 35 years back, entrepreneur mindset at that generation and the next generation entrepreneur mindsets, the mindsets are different and the platforms availability is different. So how do we find a leverage to sync these two mindsets? Because thought process of the younger generation of an becoming an entrepreneur is totally different, and the probably the previous generation of entrepreneurship is totally different. The mindset of how to take the business to the next level is different. So we are finding it difficult to understand the right path to take this company to the next stage. So just want to have some thoughts on that.
In Arvind, in family-grown businesses, this is a perennial problem. The old guards don't want to leave and they want the new people to just follow that, right? And the new people are not prepared to follow the old guards because they know times have changed. There's no easy solution to that. Honestly, there's no easy solution to that. You don't divorce your father, you don't divorce your uncles, you don't divorce your partners, right? The other question you said, Ki, what do I need to see if I'm hiring someone? You see, so far, we usually used to focus on the education, the experience, whatever is written on that white sheet of paper. The way I look at it, whatever is written on the sheet of paper, that's soft knowledge. I can make that person learn that thing, achieve that thing, imbibe that thing. What is hard knowledge, which the world calls the soft part, is the attitude, is the internal thing. What I would go in for, is the person a team player? Does the person think before speaking? Can the person visualize in details? And does the person has courage to take an action, and not only an action, to take the ownership of the results if things go wrong?
Okay.
This would be my take. Now, obviously, you see, if you need someone for finance, or if the person is a chartered accountant, great. He might not be the best chartered accountant till he understands the basic finance things. Fine. But for me, the other dimensions would be much, much more important, because one fish can dirty the entire pool, and then it becomes a big, big challenge.
Okay. Thanks for your input, sir. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes,
I
Ravi.
think what we see these days is national interest seems to overtake the global well-being. That seems to be a very strong trend leading to all these conflicts in the world. So how do this conflict between a national interest and the global well-being can be addressed by this consciousness concept?
It's a very simple thing. I showed you that graph, from I to we to the family, family to society, blah, blah, blah. You see, so again, between surrender and protecting your self-interest, they're two different things. You be inclusive, protect your interest, and if someone is harming your interest, you got to retaliate. It will be stupidity to just surrender and allow the other person to trample over you. Now, coming to the global thing, you see, human beings are so hardwired by the ego. It's very difficult for them to let go of the power, to let go of their dominance, to let go of what they control. It's only the experiences and the peer pressure, when it gets created, then they start rethinking. And secondly, as the new generations come in and they push out the old school of thought. So the way I look at it, yes, we are going through global turmoil, I'll put it this way. It's a surrogate World War III.
Yeah.
Not an apparent World War III, but if you see the activities, it's a surrogate World War III. Probably the calamity which we'll reach is to such an extent that people will get scared and they'll mend their ways, or it'll go on for 30, 40 years. The new generation comes in and pushes out the old thought. And like five fingers are never alike. There'll be some mischief maker in some country. That is obviously going to be there. You can't expect a perfect Ram Raj.
Yeah. I very well appreciate your thought on Aurobindo. I'm also very interested in that moving from a lower level to higher level of consciousness. But I see that even such a wonderful teaching is not gaining ground in the world nowadays.
It's a psychosocial change which requires an internal mental revolution. So that internal mental revolution has started. Let's give it some time. I'm sure it will catch on.
Okay. Yeah. Hope. We should always hope.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Manny, your hand is up for quite some time.
Hi, Sandeep. Hi, Sandeep, and thanks so much for this wonderful, wonderful presentation. Lots of notes. Love the examples that you've given across. Just one thing that crossed my mind. So, with experience in MNCs, I do see a paradigm shift in this, but with customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction that goes across, I see a kind of a facade being put across, and it's not authentic. We do things for numbers so that we get those numbers across. Now, if we really need to look at authenticity in the way that we're talking about of higher consciousness and moving from selfishness or moving to selflessness, how do we maintain this, and how do we get a sustainable kind of a solution in the corporate world that will remain for a longer period of time?
Number one, Manny, selflessness without sacrificing self-interest. Let me qualify that. Blanket selflessness is suicidal. Be selfless, but be cognizant of your self-interest. Okay? Your neighbor is not going to come and protect you. Number two, corporates have started opening up, right? There's a lot of empirical data. Like Google runs this lovely program of mindfulness, right? And there are a lot of other companies also who are running this program of mindfulness. American Army is running this program of mindfulness. UK schools, the UK government has funded the schools to run this program of mindfulness. Now, since these are socio-cultural changes, which are philosophical in nature, we need to give time. They need to come up over a period of time. And like I said earlier, that when the new generation comes with a new thought, obviously the existing thought would be taken away. Like my 10-year-old grandson who lives in UK, he was here in May, and one day he comes and says, Nana, will you teach me how to meditate? Now, 10 years old. Why? Because in his school, they have a class in mindfulness. So we'll have to give time, Manny.
Great.
Things are changing.
Cool. Thanks so much, Sandeep, and thanks, Gopi sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Anand.
Can I just make one statement?
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Good morning. I'm Ravindranath from ex-L&T. I just retired from L&T. Sandeep, so I just joined a little late for your talk, but it's an excellent one. Whatever I learned, the balance 45 minutes. And let's compliment you for your thought process and the kind of interactions you had so far. I just want to give something about what started off with Mr. Vishwanath and Mr. Ravi comment on corporate side. Consciousness comes about. I mean, if you've got maintaining a consciousness throughout the organization right from the beginning. I have an example with Hoke Larson, in L&T, when he has built this So right in the beginning, when I joined late 70s just as a engineering trainee in L&T, we used to think there's what is called a welfare center in the corner, in the Andheri corner, very well known welfare center with many doctors coming in and freely giving treatment to all the communities around there. This was just there in late 70s when there was no CSR, there's nothing. I mean, it's all absolutely the coining of CSR and so many things have come much later. So what I was saying, here an organization where the guys, expats who came in and settled here after World War II, and then they didn't want to go anywhere else, and both Ho class and two broke. They have set up some kind of a culture in the organization. So for all the entrepreneurs here who just talked about it, if you can set in a culture in your group, in your organization, whether your sons and daughters would like to take over, or your other employees who are getting excited with you and then will take over to the important positions of the leadership, that's what. And that's all. Mr. Hoklassen, of course, I worked with him also for a few years. And he was there as chairman emeritus, and he passed away in India only. So he had embedded his life here, and then he has shown a bit of it. So that culture is set in, that's it. I mean, whatever 15, 20 years we have spent with him, today the whole organization goes with the same kind of a thread all through. So what you said about a consciousness, I mean, some people may find the spiritual sort of intelligence is a very to comprehend that is a bit of a difficult thing. But I believe that leadership can show that. If leadership can show the consciousness, automatically I think the rest of the thing will follow. The guys who are not able to follow, they will get ejected out. They will leave in any case. And this is what my observation is all about. And I did find, second point I want to maintain is, because of that culture, when we want to grow in L&T to let's say, $100 million jobs, today we are doing multi-billion-dollar jobs in all over the world. What we felt is we cannot grow unless you actually grow your environment. So the whole of, somebody mentioned about developing entrepreneurship. I myself have developed at least about 150, 200 vendors in India from scratch. From scratch, they are nowhere. But then the point which we did was we used to have regular meetings with them, quarterly meetings, calling them, and we coined a word at that time, partners in progress. If you want to progress, we need partners. So by the partners in progress scheme, the guys who are a very small fabricator who's only a silent tube heat exchanger, we made them to do very high pressure vessels. And L&T moved from doing high pressures to ultra high pressure. Much complicated equipment in the world. So you can move, your own fabrication shop can move into higher level, to allow the other guys to grow. You give them the quality standards, give them, so that selfishness goes away there. I want to grow, I want to build a workshop, won't work. You build others to do what you have been doing it, and then you go into the next level of excellence, which you are good at in developing. So there are two comments which I thought I would just share with you.
Brilliant. And let me give you a small, you see, what you say is absolutely right. Culture is the thing for which you need a business model. Okay. And I presented one in Oxford in 2015. It was centered around where you do business the business way, but the righteous way. Anyway, the time was short. Therefore, obviously, I didn't include that in my talk today. So yes, I totally agree with you. Anand, you wanted to say something. I saw your hand up earlier, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Sandeep. A lovely presentation. Thank you so much for this great insights. And this is what the corporate world is also talking about these days. And when I say corporate world, the corporate world that is running the businesses with consciousness is certainly doing exactly what you're talking about, being mindful, being conscious, aligning people to the values. I really love the way Mr. Rabindranath talked about. It is all about the values, how people align to the values of the corporate to be able to drive successful outcomes. Well, I have one question for you, which I'll put at the last, but for some of the questions that I came in, I think it is from Vishwanath. I just had a response there that corporates like Tatas and Mahindras are not building entrepreneurs. The number of dealers that are there, which are medium scale and small scale industries today, there are more than 5,000 dealers, which means that there are 5,000 entrepreneurs. And the number of self-help groups that each of these corporates run is over 25,000 self-help groups, and largely women entrepreneurship. So I don't think it is right to say that the corporates don't build entrepreneurs. Now, again, if you go back and talk about your own the subject of today, which is about being a victim or being a player. If you think that you are a victim and the corporates don't do anything for you, then that is where it is perceived. But if you see on the other side, if you want to play, and how can you play to the advantage of what corporate strategies are, then everybody has got a role to play. That's a response. But from my side, I had only one question to you from a personality bias or a trait with which one grows. So let's say we know that there are each one of us have our own personalities, and these personalities are defined by the traits that we grow with. And how do they impact of you being on the left side of consciousness or on the right side of the consciousness?
Well, first of all, Anand, there's nothing the left side of consciousness or the right side of consciousness.
In the sense, being aware to being extremely conscious on the other side, which is about self-actualization or whatever.
Consciousness is all about self-actualization. Why do I behave? Why do I
Yeah.
think? And why do I
Yeah,
react
so
the way I do?
I'm only asking a question as to how your traits that you grew up with, or your personality, which is defined by your MBTIs and all that. How does that play a role in defining one?
Okay, it's a very simple thing. If you do nothing, it plays 100% rule. If you decide that you got to improve, because human beings are teachable, perfectible, trainable. Okay. So then you adopt the practices, you pick up the necessary tools, which obviously I have not gone in detail over here. And a neurogenesis starts happening in the brain. So the change, even the brain structure changes, when you start being mindful, you start doing meditation. So the entire reactionary pattern changes. Okay, well, I didn't have time to bring in all those things, therefore I did not bring them. But whatever I've talked today has got a solid scientific backing.
Yeah.
Okay, how do they change you biologically, that's at the brain level, so that you behave differently? But yes, if you choose to do nothing, then you're 100% in their hands.
Absolutely.
I've been in their hands for 40, 45 years, then I chose to change. And today, where people don't recognize me.
Yeah, so everything starts with me.
Intent.
Yeah. Perfect.
Devaraju.
Yeah, Devraj, go on.
Yeah, Gopi, thanks. Sandeep, thank you very much. It was a wonderful presentation. My name is Devraju, and I'm a retired Mercedes-Benz retail business CEO, just retired 1 year before. It was a really wonderful presentation, particularly for the corporate world, like mainly consciousness, inclusive leadership. All these factors are very, very important. One leader should have to make this organization very successful. My question is, there are two types of organization. One is a bigger organization like Tata's, Mahindra's. I'm talking about Indian context. And the other one is medium and small scale industries where entrepreneurs are getting into the business, starting the business and all. So basically for both the big or small, corporate integrity and ethics are very, very important, whether small business or big business. But if I want to start a small entrepreneur business, I don't have big money, it's okay, fine, I can go to the medium or small scale. But I have high integrity and high ethics, I want the business. But there is an external influence, maybe a government or government agencies and all, they may pollute these kind of entrepreneurs to compromise their integrity and ethics. Where this will fit into this consciousness and inclusive leadership and all of high integrity and ethics in the country like in India.
Okay. So you're referring to a case where your file is pending before a Babu and the person is sitting on it, not allowing it to move ahead. As simple as this. Now, so let me share a small story with you. There was a minister who was very corrupt in a king's kingdom, right? And the entire kingdom used to complain about him. And so one day the king said, okay, this guy is creating too much nuisance. Let me send him to the sea. And he said, okay, now you are transferred to the seashore, sit there and count the waves, come back after 5 years. 5 years pass, and this chap comes back. Again, he comes back with a lot of wealth. So the king is surprised. He said, well, from where did you get all this wealth? He says, sir, the ships, when they used to pass, I used to stop them and say, I will not allow you to pass because when you pass, the waves will get disturbed. My counting would go wrong. And what will I report to the king? And they used to give me money and I used to allow them to pass. So Dev Raju, the person who is corrupt, who needs to trouble you, who has made up his mind to trouble you, you can do nothing about it. You'll have to take a conscious decision what to do and what not to do. I know ethically, it's a very ticklish situation, but the truth is, like all fingers are not alike. You can never remove corruption. Even in the days of Mahabharata, they were corrupt, they were non-corrupt. Even in the days of Ramayana, they were corrupt, non-corrupt. And this is not only India, this is world over. So honestly, I don't have an answer to your question.
Thank you. Thank you for your valuable input on this point. It's a very difficult point.
There was hardly any input. I just gave my reflection.
Yeah. It's true reflection.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep.
You're welcome.
So Ram Tilak sir, you can ask your question.
Sorry, Gopi, I was not able to talk. I have got a little cough. That's why I put the message in the question. You can read it out. I'll just tell that. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sandeep, sir. It was a nice presentation. Actually, I was asking a question. Current generation, we have come across corporates, 3 corporates, just everybody knows about it. Tatas, Reliance, and Mahindras. They have come across generations. How do you compare them with respect to the topics which you have covered? How do you say this will be easy for us to correlate and then understand it better?
Tata's definitely a value-centric organization. Undoubtedly a value-centric organization, and you can't determine such a huge organization on the basis of 1 or 2 stray incidents, which their employees do. Mahindra is a man of integrity, vision, and values. So I'll put Tata's at the top, Mahindra below him. And let me tell you one thing, but even Mahindra is, very upbeat on getting all these things, all these tools, modern tools to help people to evolve and perform better in his organization. And the third one, Reliance, is a bottom line organization. So I'll say this thing, okay, in the business language, Mahindras and Tatas are the top line organization by adding value to society. Reliance is a bottom line organization. I, me, my. But Reliance pays its people very well. We are talking of the philosophy or the undercurrent.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Anyone else has a question? Shivkumar sir.
Sorry, I'll just add one more point to this, sir. we are talked about the corporates which are all in a platform where they can dictate terms. Whereas if you look at it, the MSMEs and the first generation entrepreneurs, they are not in the position to decide what they want. They have to go by the current what is market is giving them. In that being the case, will they able to implement all the suggestions which you are giving the value-based one like Tata's and Mahindra's? Will they be able to have a say in the matter? How they can survive that?
No, they will not implement it. I know it. As simple as this. And the reason is very simple. They're not open-minded. They're too insecure. At least in the North, I'm seeing, they don't collaborate. They don't share. You see, and an insecure person will never do these things. They just want to cling on. Mindset issue is a big issue in MSMEs. I don't know about South, but at least in North, yes, it is a very big issue.
Yeah, but that is it the entrepreneurs to be blamed or the market environment to be blamed? Because they are not in the dictating terms, no? They have to survive.
The entrepreneur needs to be blamed because the entrepreneur is trying to do everything which he should not be doing.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
And I'll just share one example with you. In 1982, I shifted from Bombay to Delhi, and I was the internal auditor for Modi Vanaspati. Every day the GM used to be the president, right? They used to call the president GM. So GM of the factory every evening had 500 vouchers in front of him to sign. And what were the vouchers? Tea, 3 rupees. Okay. Stationery, 5 rupees. So I told him, I said, have you gone bonkers? You should be looking at the strategy, the future, other things. Delegate this thing down the line, right? You can say, okay, above 10,000, above 50,000 should come to me. But again, the issue was fear of losing power. So till the time, so I totally, my answer to you is yes, they will not, but when Shah Rukh Khan does a hit movie, 100 people are inspired to come into the movie industry.
But that happens once in a blue moon, no? All small-scale entrepreneurs are not successful always.
No, Shah Rukh Khan is once a blue moon, but 100 people coming in every year, and out of them 50 making a decent living is a continuous process.
True. Because I as a banker, I've been in the banking industry for almost 35 years, wherein I was financing small-scale disease entrepreneurs and other people. So I've seen them thick and thin. The fear, what you said, is absolutely in their minds. And because they don't have the dictating terms in the market. So that's the reason I just asked you this question. How they will be able to...
Since you're from the banking industry, I'll take you back to the 80s when the differential interest scheme was there. As auditors, we never even bothered to look at the documents. One stroke, we would say, bad debts.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
See, there are so many experiments they were able to do it, but entrepreneurs, I'm just worried because will they be able to do that experimental? Because their survival itself is toughest one. Corporates, Tata's, Birlas, they can afford to, but will the small-scale entrepreneurs? Majority of us are there in that group. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your insights.
Which you were saying something?
Gopi, can we?
I think it is possible. Even small. To answer is a mindset. If you want your employee to be a slave for 30 years, or you want him to be a fellow entrepreneur, after 5 years they know everything in running the company. In fact, they know better than the owner. Are you ready to set up something for him and share the profits with him? That is a question. As you correctly told, most owners would rather leave their wealth to their incompetent sons and son-in-laws than to encourage somebody who has slaved with him for 20 years, 25 years, encourage them to be entrepreneurs, set up something, because there'll be so many ideas, new ideas coming, in which the entrepreneur cannot do. He can definitely. The only fear is that your employee will grow and own a much bigger car or a house than you. When that fear is there, you will not encourage anybody else to, come. That. But if you have a mindset in the larger scheme of things to encourage other people and be happy that your employees are even better off than you, and you leave behind a legacy. You will want to see the difference between leaving a legacy or leaving behind money. That is a question. If you want to leave a legacy behind, if you think that each employee will have your photo in their house after you pass away, then you will think differently. But if you want to leave for your family, who mostly will be thankless, yes, that's a different mindset. Thank you.
Gopi, I need to go.
Yes.
I told you,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay.
So only
Thank you,
one
sir.
person.
Sorry.
I think let it be the last question. Hari,
Okay.
Siva,
Hari, you can go on,
a
Hari.
small question, a small
Yes.
answer.
Hari, small question. Unmute, Hari.
Hi there, myself Harry. I'm working as a project engineer.
Your voice is muffled. I can't make out what you're saying.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hari. I'm working as a project engineer in Singapore. I just ask you some questions. Thanks for the lessons and lectures. It's very fantastic. But I have only one question. What do you say about the MSMEs have fear about collaborate? Yes, my company also, they started 35 years. Still, they are under working in a single boss. They are not ready to collaborate. They have a plans in 4 countries, Indonesia, Singapore, China, and Spain. But he want to take a market from India, but he fear about collaborate. But in future, suppose he need to do. So how we can convince him to go to India to do collaborate? Okay, if he have the fear, what kind of technical things he can do, like audit, some other things? Because when he start to do business in China, there is an auditor, CA, who helped him to start a business there. Then he running the business in China for last around 10 to 15 years. So what kind of advice we can give to him? And second thing, I'm a 26 years old guy. I have a plan to start a business after my 30s. Otherwise, I have been a GM for him in India. So which one I can prefer for myself? Thank you, sir.
Hari, your question is loaded and there's so many dimensions to it. Why don't we connect offline?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, you can take my number. My number is 9810730653.
Okay, sir.
Send me a WhatsApp. We'll fix a time and we'll talk about it. Okay?
Okay, sir.
I'm sorry,
Thanks.
your question is.
I hope, sir. I hope it's for I think next 20-30 years time. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sandeep. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandeep.